It's funny, before YouTube was around, before Instagram, Facebook, social media was ever invented, when I was a little girl, I used to stand in the kitchen with a pretend microphone and do a pretend cooking show. I would also do a pretend newscast show, a news show. I guess really I always imagined myself going into journalism or broadcasting or acting of some sort. But my father, who was an amazing physician, had always put the seed in my head that I would make a great doctor. He always used to say, Esther, you're going to be a good dermatologist. So when I got accepted to UCSD and majored as a pre-med, that was my plan. Everything was okay until I got into physiology, and I realized I can't memorize anything. It was such a challenge for me. I did pretty good in molecular biology and biochemical techniques, hands-on, cellular biology, that type of thing, but I couldn't really, I didn't have a solid background in physiology. So that was when and then that I decided I don't think I'm going to go to medical school. But because I was already invested in my program, I finished and I graduated, and I applied for a biotech company in San Diego. San Diego is a big biotech hotbed. And my first temp position, I was making oligonucleotides, DNA, RNA. The company was called GenProbe. And I spent a lot of time in the lab making those DNAs that were the backbone of what went into the assays for diagnostic tests. And actually 6 months into my being in the lab, I realized this is not my passion. I really don't want to be in the lab. So I learned about intellectual property law, and I attended paralegal school to transition into law. I studied at nights and a part-time basis. I think it was a 2-year program as I was working in the lab simultaneously. And after I graduated, I moonlighted in a local biotech company, organizing their legal files, consolidating their legal files. And that's how I got my first job while I was working at GenProbe, actually. But it was a long, slow, steady journey to transition to law. My first position, real position in the legal field was with Qualcomm. And my first position, Darla put me in, my manager put me in charge of quality control for all the people who were auditing the files for IDSs, information disclosure statements. That's a different topic all by itself, but she recognized my attention to detail, my leadership, and I was auditing everybody's work before filing with the United States Patent Office. But when it came to the end of the assignment, I didn't get an offer at Qualcomm, so I moved on with my career, and gradually I built a career around law and bioscience. It was a good fit for me doing IP law. And what I really did was be in the legal in-house environment. I only did one law firm position, which I wasn't a big fan of. And that became my niche. And gradually I became more experienced. I learned more, and I transitioned into contracts law, and I transitioned into more of a legal op manager role. And it's been a really rewarding path for me. I work with some really brilliant people, as you can imagine, in IP. I worked at UCSD Tech Transfer Office, where I worked with some of the most brilliant minds, some of the first filings on face recognition technology, on, you think it they did it. We licensed the technology to the outside companies, and I managed their IP portfolio and worked with really brilliant people. I even worked with some of my old professors who were still filing patent applications. And then from then on, I just had this amazing ride of integrating into contracts law, just because a paralegal left at Heron Therapeutics, and they said, "Hey, now you're doing contracts too," and I thrived in it. I really liked it, and so gradually I moved away from IP into contracts law. But what does your professional life do for your whole being? It's rewarding, it's challenging, but really it doesn't really feed your soul. It doesn't feed your soul unless you're really on a path of a career where you're working with something in the field that really feeds your soul as well. So here I am, almost 20 years later, looking to see where the path is taking me. And I'm really excited about that.